The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 227.
227.
What's our topic today?
This is Finding Your Gift.
Awesome.
Yeah, 227. Remember that show?
Oh, yeah, I love that show.
That was a good show.
That was, what's her name, from the Jeffersons?
Yeah.
Can't remember
There
her
were a
name,
few
though.
people on that show.
Florence?
Yeah.
Florence. Mm-hmm. Cool. Anyways, before we get into 227, anything you want to talk about from last week?
Yes, last week we did I Love You, and we got a couple of comments from that episode.
Cool.
The first one is from Crystal. She says, "So glad you guys are back. What a bumpy journey. Sounds like you ended up right where you needed to be in the end, though. Your episode made me think of an experience I had last month. I was traveling, and I don't remember which airport I was in. I was using the bathroom, and I could hear a young woman sobbing, the kind of cry that you can feel in your soul, even as a total stranger to her. I fought with myself back and forth about bothering her because she was in the stall next to me. The bathroom stall was cracked, so after I washed my hands, I went over to the door and I asked, 'Are you okay?' She opened the door a bit more and I could see she was on the phone. She said, 'Yes, ma'am, I'm talking to my mom.' She looked like a young adult, somewhere between like 18 and 22. She was still sobbing uncontrollably and shaking. I said, 'I'm sorry, you're sad. May I hug you?' And she fell into my arms. And so here I stood with this young woman who I immediately loved, who was a total stranger. I held on to her tightly while hearing her mom talking to her on the phone. It brought me to tears. Even typing this out, her sorrow was so great. I asked her if she was in any danger, and she said no. I hugged her a bit longer while she continued to talk to her mom and cry. I eventually had to let her go, but she seemed a bit calmer. I learned that day that I can love complete strangers with my whole heart. Love is the one universal language we have."
Yeah, that's a cool story.
Yeah,
that's really
isn't
cool.
it, though?
And good for you that you did that.
Yeah, thank you for doing that, because I know that you get in those situations and it can be uncomfortable. Like, what do I do? But, the worst somebody's going to do is tell you to get away from them.
Yeah, but that how often does that really happen in those kind of moments? I mean, I think your fear of offending somebody or rejection is greater than what they would be feeling.
Yes.
And that's your own mind.
Yeah.
Kind of doing that to yourself.
Yeah.
But you can feel that that nagging thing that's saying, reach out to this person.
Yeah.
Like that's listening to the good, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion. I had a similar experience when I worked in the grocery store. I had a lady come through my line and she looked very sad. And I was just like, "How's your day?" Just trying to make conversation and be nice.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Not so good." So it's again like one of those situations.
Yeah.
Do you just say, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that," or do you inquire and is everything okay? And I did. And she's like, "My husband found out that he was diagnosed with cancer." And I went, "Oh, man." And she just broke down.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. My body just all of a sudden, like, I just walked around the counter to her side and I just gave her a hug.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what to say,
What do you say? Yeah.
I didn't really ask. I just, kind of put my arm up and patted her and then just like gave her a hug. Maybe I should have asked, but it wasn't a big deal. And then a couple weeks or some time went by and she came through my line again. And I, one of those burning questions of like, I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, how are you?" And she looked at me like she didn't recognize me.
Yeah.
And I said, "You came through my line not that long ago and expressed something to me about your husband. I just wondered if he was okay." And she was like, "Oh yeah, no, he's totally fine."
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, isn't it weird? It was like an alternate universe.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
But the test was there for me. Like, can you be kind to somebody? I couldn't just send somebody on their way crying like that and not ask them at least, are you okay?
Yeah.
You know?
No.
So that's a great story that this, who was it again? I'm sorry.
Crystal?
Crystal. Sorry, Crystal. Yeah. That is a great story.
Yeah,
I read it on the page. That was rad.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other comment is from Sunshine. She said, love this episode and love you both so much. I loved hearing about all the deets of the move and all the drama. Like, what? But it worked out and your home is amazing. You know, that little dancey dance you do when you get good food. That's how I felt about hearing you getting the best house and it working out.
The dancey dance.
I do the dancey dance.
Yeah, you do.
Especially when there's chocolate involved.
That's cool.
Thank you, Sunshine. Thank you both for that. So yeah, that is from last week. And then we did a couple of really cool things this week. Well, maybe one of them wasn't so cool, but I wanted to talk about a couple of things. First, we went to a pet cemetery. Mm-hmm. And I had been to this pet cemetery. This isn't the not cool thing. I actually thought this was kind of cool. I had been to this pet cemetery once before. It was for the only dog funeral I've ever been to. But it was for a newscaster, weathercaster, whose lab died. And there were so many people there that we didn't really walk around or anything. We just went straight to where the service was. This is from when you lived
here before.
Yeah,
just
from when I lived.
Just for people that maybe not.
Oh yeah,
don't know the situation.
I lived here for 15 years before we. Yeah. So.
Anyways.
So I didn't get to explore that pet cemetery that day, and I don't know even at that point in my life if I was in the place that I would have done that. But I was trying to think of some things that we could do up here in the area close to where we live. And that was one that I thought, that's something that wouldn't take us long to do, when we're out just running errands or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we went, and this was, it was a cool experience. It hit me in a different way than I thought it was going to. One of the things that stuck out to me the most was that on the tombstones for the pets, people were way more into the personal side of things and actually expressing their feelings on the headstones in a pet cemetery compared to a human cemetery where you might see beloved mother and grandmother, but these were pouring their heart out on the tombstone. My sweet baby, I'm gonna miss you so much. I love you. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. You're my soulmate. Yeah,
much more personal.
Yep, and that was got me. Right. It got me in the feels. Way more than a human cemetery.
The human ones, a lot of the statements or whatever just felt like they were picked out of some book sample, that
which they are for
the mortuary gives you. Mm-hmm. And they are, I get that. But why then are the animals any different? It's I'm sure there's got to be a book of selections they offer you there too, or are you allowed to do something custom? Maybe it's a price issue. I don't know, but it seemed a lot more personal.
It did.
It did. And visually, when you're coming up on it, it doesn't look any different than any other cemetery. It sounds funny, raiding cemeteries. We hang out in cemeteries.
I know, isn't it? But I don't know. It's just there's so much that you can see and learn.
Yes.
I was going through my pictures. So here's one that says Sweepy, November 2007, 20 years old. Our handsome, silly bird cockatiel, we love you and miss you so much. Go play with Snooky in heaven, Mom, Dad, and Andrea.
Yeah.
These are the types of things that we saw throughout this whole cemetery. And these are tombstones just like people would have, just smaller. Mm-hmm. And it's first I was thinking, wow, that's a lot of money to spend.
There was some pretty big ones.
Oh,
there was ones that were big with the bench.
Yep. One with a fence, a locked fence completely around it.
It was open.
It was open, yeah. Yep, it was open.
Yeah.
Yeah, what got me the most, and there might be some people that know this story if you've lived in Las Vegas, but that newscaster that I was talking about, that's where the funeral was for his dog. After his dog died, he went downhill, started drinking. He was already an alcoholic, I believe, but, drinking all the time, and ended up losing his job and losing everything, and he ended up dying. And they put something for him there as well, which I thought was really cool. But one of the things that I found really interesting about it was that on the tombstone to his dog Jordan, he says, let's see, I miss you more with each passing day, yet I know with all my heart one day soon we will be back out on the highway for destinations unknown. And Jordan the dog died in 2007. And John the human died in 2012.
Wow.
So he said someday soon, and
Yeah.
within 5 years, he was...
That's incredible.
Yeah. This dog was his everything.
Yeah.
And I hear this a lot from people that they get, that kind of grief. And I've been there, but it can take you down if you let it,
Yeah, grief period.
Yeah. But that was, it was an interesting trip. I enjoyed it. I don't know,
Did you say in this, I wasn't sure actually, just now, that he actually had a dog that replaced the dog that
I
passed
didn't
away?
mention that, yeah.
And that dog, which he named the same name, right?
Yeah, Jordan number 2.
Jordan number 2, outlived him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure that before he really went down, because he was living on the streets, somebody probably took the dog, would be my guess. I think he thought somehow he could form that same kind of bond with another dog, and he got the puppy really, really fast. Yeah. And the dog ended up, still a puppy, bit somebody, and he was told that he couldn't bring the dog to the station anymore, but Jordan number 1 was with him every day. Those two were not without each other, and because of his status in the community, he could take the dog anywhere. Nobody said anything.
Right.
So
it was like a celebrity. The dog was
a celebrity. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the only dog funeral I've ever been to. But I used to have a all-natural pet supply store, and for the grand opening, he came out and was going to sign his book, and he was drunk as a skunk. Yeah. It was awful. So, yeah, but the experience of going to the cemetery and seeing all that again, it's like, whoa, it brings up all of these memories and everything. And yeah, it was heavy, but a cool experience too.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, because we talked a little bit about it last week, about how nice the people are here, is our experience at the DMV, which is the one that I was saying was maybe not so pleasant. But let me tell you what.
Yikes.
Okay, I have lived here before, yes.
Yes.
But I don't remember my DMV experiences in the past so much. Except for in California, because it wasn't like this at all.
Right.
But I think the biggest thing that shocked us was how nice the people were. And that's why I'm talking about it, is because before we even left to go to the DMV, you were like, oh, this is going to suck because these people hate their jobs so much.
I'm used to California, and that's how they are. Honestly, I'm not trying to lie here.
Yep.
They act very lack of personality.
Yeah.
And they're not interested in small talk, humor, or anything that's going to delay this particular job from getting pushed through.
No, it's true. It's true. And they were the complete opposite.
They were pretty darn opposite, I will say that. I'm sure there were some people there that weren't super friendly, but everybody I came into contact was very friendly.
Yeah, and it was interesting because we ended up having to wait 2 hours. You have to make an appointment to go to the DMV here unless it's on a Wednesday.
Right.
So we had an appointment at 11:30, and 12:30 comes around. We're still sitting there, and they finally tell us, oh, we're running 2 hours behind.
Right.
But it was a very strange experience because it was so quiet in there, and it was packed, and it was huge. Like, I don't even know how to describe how big this place was.
I don't know how to explain.
Like a restaurant size, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe bigger.
Yeah, and full. Like almost every seat when we got there was taken, and it was like,
rows of individual seats all facing one direction.
Yeah.
And the workers, sitting on desks around those seats facing the people. Mm-hmm. And there's a screen that's now calling out numbers from a speaker that's very faint in the corner. So I could see why people were trying to maintain some level of quietness.
Yeah.
Because the numbers they're calling out are according to what's being shown on the screen. But if you're not paying attention,
they're not in order
to the screen, and you can't hear the speaker, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And we saw a gentleman as we came in that had asked. He missed his number.
Missed his number,
So, like, literally, you don't know if you go to the bathroom. Am my number going to get
I was
called?
scared, yeah.
I was like, you're trapped here in this chair for the next however many. So you could feel people kind of getting impatient, and then finally a security guard speaks up sort of loudly and says, we're running about 2 hours behind.
Yeah.
But everybody that's here will be seen.
Yeah.
Like, even if they close at 5, if their room's full of people,
yeah,
you're still going to get seen.
Yeah.
But in California, the difference here, I think you were trying to explain is that so if we make an appointment at 11:30 in California, you get called up for your appointment. Usually that's been my experience.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I'm making an appointment to get a seat to sit for 2 hours
not
behind.
at all. There's not enough room.
So I wasn't sure what the kind of purpose of the appointment actually to begin with was.
Yeah, I think it's to limit the amount of people that actually go there in one day, because
Yes.
there was a point where we were like, we're starving. We didn't think we were going to be there for 2 hours. And so then we see this lady come up and she's got a hot dog, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, they
So
got hot
lunch
dogs
at the
here?
DMV.
Lunch at the DMV. Yeah, there was another point that I had about the lunch at the DMV. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, that was good. That was quite interesting.
No, but it started even for me then when we walked up, we stood in line, when we first got there, and they're like, okay, get in line and they'll look at your documents, blah, blah, and tell you where to go.
Yeah.
Okay. And the lady was like, really nice.
Really nice.
And she's like,
yeah.
You've been here before, huh? And I'm like, oh no. No. No, I haven't. I said, I just came from California. So I'm thinking, what possibly could be wrong now? And she's like, oh, because your documents are just so together. You're very prepared, like as if I didn't get it right the first time and came back. But then I gave you the credit. I said my wife actually used to get credit for that.
Over prepared, because I know that was, and I told you, like on the way there, I'm like, I'm afraid I'm not going to have everything, and then they're going to yell at me for not having everything. The experience was so completely different. It was just amazing. Like, I'm sorry, Southern California, but you guys got to figure it out, because like, I'm not saying every person that we've come in contact with here has been nice, but like, I am shocked. I'm shocked at today I went to the pharmacy. And the lady there was so nice. I was like, do you want to be friends? Like, I didn't say that. Right. But, I just am blown away.
There is a general nicerness to people. I don't know what it is.
I wonder what it's like in other parts of the country. Like, I've only ever lived in Southern California and Las Vegas. Yeah. So what's it like in parts of the country where people don't have the chip on their shoulder like they do in California, but, don't live in a big city like Las Vegas?
I think it can get a little scarier than California.
I'm sure it is worse, but but the better is what I'm talking about. Like, like a place where it's so over friendly, maybe that you're like, what the, I just feel like I've kind of stepped into it a little bit
Whoville.
Right. Yeah. like seriously, alternate universe. It feels like sometimes, the drivers on the other hand suck, but
driving sucks here.
Yeah, it really does. But other than that, it's pretty good so far.
I mean, there's not the 101 or the 405, but the drivers themselves, it's pretty wild.
It is, isn't it?
The Wild West.
I warned you before we came here. I was like, you need to be prepared. Yeah. Like, defensive driving is so important here, because they don't care. They don't care. Everybody runs red lights. It's like, but yeah. Anyway, so that was our exciting adventures for the week.
Very cool.
Yeah, our listeners, they always comment about how they love to hear our stories and what's going on, and so I feel like, hey,
we're going to have a lot of stories.
We are going to have a lot, but there's a couple for you for the week. Yeah. Oh, right. Before we give our info, just one other thing I want to talk about, and that is that I was on a podcast. I did an interview on a podcast called Tea with Intuitives. Cool. And I just loved this podcast, and the interview was really good. So check it out. I'm just basically talking about animals. Oh, yeah. It's an animal communication episode. But Melly, the host, she was just fabulous. Fabulous interview. Like, sometimes it's like you feel like, did they even set their questions beforehand, or... But she was just on it. It was a great interview. So check it out.
Those are nice experiences.
They are. I enjoy them all because they're all different, but that was a good one.
Cool.
Yep.
Check it out.
Okay, and then before we start, let's give our info.
Do it.
So you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. I recently started an Etsy store, and I really need reviews on the Etsy store. So for anybody that gets a reading, they buy a reading off of there, I'm giving them a 5-minute mini reading for free after they leave a review, because that's how people find you.
Very good.
So yay. And so that's at Etsy Beyond the Bridge 11.
Very nice.
And then you, sir.
Yes, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and for my photography at djones71 photography. And that's pretty much all I got. I haven't started a new piece, but I am pretty soon. I've been working in the studio. I actually got helping a friend mix a song, and another guy was put some vocals helping him out. So as soon as I wrap those things up, I'm going to start painting a new piece, which will have something to do with where we're at.
Yes, I'm excited for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm inspired.
Good.
Cool. Yeah. Well, that's it for me.
Great.
All right. Well, then, episode 227, Finding Your Gift.
Finding Your Gift. We were talking about this the other day. I don't really remember what brought it up, that we were talking about everybody, having a gift and stuff.
I think for me, it kind of came for because I've always kind of known since I was very young.
Yeah.
And I think you did too. So it was like that feeling of looking at, and I'm not doing this in a judgmental way, but looking at people that I know that I'm very close to.
Yeah.
That don't have that, or they have struggles finding that.
Right.
And I kind of try to put myself in those shoes and go, what would that be like?
Yeah.
If I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. Right. What is it? What's my gift?
Right.
What am I good at? I mean, not what I want to do with my life. That's kind of not the right way to say it, right? Because I could go be a librarian, I could be a janitor, a doctor, but what's the gift?
Right.
What were you blessed with?
Right. I think that's how we got talking about it is, people around us and their careers. And one of the things was my brother. I don't know. He doesn't know. I can tell you he doesn't know, because if I don't know, he doesn't know what his gift is. He's always worked in places like House of Blues and the Troubadour, and now he works at a place called Brooklyn Bowl as a security guard because he loves music. Mm-hmm. That's his passion.
Right.
But what is his gift? And I was trying to figure this out, because it's I really truly believe that when you find your gift, you find your purpose, because they are two different things, and we'll talk about that. But finding your gift is the first step to finding what it is that you are here for. What is your purpose? What is your passion?
Right. That's assuming you want to follow this, right?
Sure.
Because some people might be happy with and content with being what, I just need the guaranteed paycheck, and it doesn't matter if I'm doing data entry or working in a warehouse in a printing shop. They just want that guarantee. And I totally respect that and understand that. But if you do have a gift, which I think each one of us do.
Yeah.
It's part of sometimes figuring that out, but you have to decide then, do you want to follow that gift and try to make something, maybe even a living out of it?
And I, as far as I'm concerned, you're an artist, and you knew you loved to draw, and you're a musician, and you knew you loved to play the guitar from a young age, very young age.
Younger, yeah.
Yeah. For me, my interests as a child were a little bit different. I was more into acting and dancing and stuff like that.
Right.
But I was really a mediocre actress and a mediocre dancer. It wasn't going to get me anywhere. Right. But I did love animals. I've always loved animals since before I could talk. There's stories about how I would react to animals.
But let's pause real fast.
Sure.
Do you not consider the acting and the entertainer, Samantha, part a gift as well?
I don't know. I guess you mean like this,
Well, I mean, you didn't follow it for a career for life, right? But there was a point where you loved to do it.
Oh yeah,
and
I still love to dance.
I think with the acting, somebody insulted you when you were young, and it kind of closed you up.
Yes,
and so, but the dancing you always did. Now you're old like me, and it's harder on the body.
Yeah.
But you still have that gift.
Yes.
the entertainer. If we didn't have actors and actresses that want to make believe, because aren't we make believing anyways?
Right.
Really?
Totally. I think your gift is something that you're just drawn to as well. Well, let me give you what the definition is, okay? Right. So what is a gift? It's a notable ability, talent, or action. Mm-hmm. A purpose is different. A purpose is the reason for something. So the reason for why you're doing something. So you are an artist and you do the art that you do because that is the passion that you got from your gift.
Well, let's go back to your brother for a second if we can. I've told you before, and I don't know if it falls under that actual definition, but I've told you before that I felt like his charm was a very big gift.
Yes.
Because he can literally walk into any room and be friends with everybody by the time he leaves.
Absolutely.
That's just the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
But he has a greater understanding of like video games and things like that work a certain part of your brain.
Yes.
And you have to have a good understanding of them to beat them.
Right.
Or to be close to be able to beat them.
Right.
I don't know if that's even possible because I'm not a video game player. But anyways, that is a gift.
Right.
He has a knowledge, a skill that starts with an interest of fantasy. So kind of when you were little and you sang and danced and acted, you were daydreaming. You were playing you were playing fantasy.
Yeah.
So I think that is a gift. Mm-hmm. It's those in the world that choose to take that and kind of live their life like that.
Yes.
Like a daydreamer, I'm going to be an actor, and then, I'm going to be an actor and artist, and most people don't take you seriously.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to work for you.
Yeah.
What is that, 1 in a million chance there?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anybody can be that 1 in a million. Anyone.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. A gift is not something learned. It's natural. It's an inherent quality that an individual is born with and something that can be honed through practice and discipline. So, yeah, for example, my gift I look at now is my ability to communicate with animals, to communicate with the other side, and the psychic abilities, and my energy healing. All of these kind of fit into what is the gift, which I don't know what you would even say that the gift itself is, because these are kind of my purposes. Like, my purpose is to help people and animals and to change the world as much as I can, as crazy as that may sound. That's my purpose. But because of my gifts to be able to talk to animals and everything, that's why I have the purpose. Does that make sense? Is it clarified?
You do. I think, like, with the podcast, for instance, I think we kind of combined two of gifts when we decided to do this. And I'll explain that in a way. That I've always been told from my family as a young age that I was very articulate as a young age. I could have a conversation with an adult when I was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, me too.
And they would, it's like mind-blowing. You were just very articulate.
Right.
I like to talk. I used to get in trouble a lot in school for talking. I love conversation, and I love to talk about things that intrigue me.
Yeah, me too.
So that was a big yes for me when it came to the podcast.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest fears that you may have had was like, oh my God, I've never been an outwardly spoken type of person.
Not since I was younger.
Shy. Yeah, not since you were younger. And shy. And I kept kind of telling you, don't worry. And it's like playing music, like being in front of a microphone. After a while, you forget.
You do forget.
You
yeah,
know?
Totally.
This thing's big, black, and giant, and it's dangling in front of our faces.
Yeah.
So when I said that to you, I think you kind of looked at me like, oh yeah, sure, I'm going to forget this big popper stopper over the microphone and the bar hanging over, and how can I forget it? It's right in front of my face. But you do.
Yeah.
You do. It becomes second nature.
It
and
does.
You allow yourself to be yourself.
I think that when it comes to your gift and your purpose, a lot of it has to do with stepping outside your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. That if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to try new things, it's really hard to open that up. Mm-hmm. Because there's always that fear of rejection. There's always the fear of success too. But I think for me, the fear of rejection is way higher. Because of the line of work that I do. So putting myself out there is is really stepping outside of my comfort zone to begin with. But then being behind a microphone, like the first couple episodes that we did, I cried afterwards. It's like, I sound so stupid, you know?
I mean, it sounded the first 4 episodes. If you're a brand new listener, it's awful. I'm not going to lie.
It is.
The quality is terrible. We're like two, I don't know, turtles that came out from under a rock and were terrified and ran back.
We knew nothing about having a podcast, nothing at all. My mom's just like, you should start a podcast. Right. And we're like, okay.
But it's
so glad we did.
It's done things, right?
It's done a lot of things.
It's brought us out of our shell. It's taught you how to do this because, lo and behold, that's what you have to do in your life.
Yeah.
And I don't think way back then you really understood the full scope of that.
No, not at all.
And the different ways that you would have to be available in your job because you will do things that require just texting. You will do things that require just email. You'll do things that require just a phone conversation. You'll do things that require a video conference.
Right.
So you'll do things that require, and you've done all these already.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking from past tense. You'll do things standing in front of people.
Right.
You know? So, and I think lately, a lot of that, even for me, I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And do things that I'm not honed in on. But how else do you get there?
That's right.
You're
know? Not good at something the first time that you do it, no matter what it is. With these abilities, it wasn't that I wasn't good, it was that I couldn't really figure out how to turn it on and off and like when to know when I was connected and not. There's, like you said, you got to hone in on these abilities, and then that opens up a whole lot of other things. But at the beginning of this, if you would have told me that I was going to be on television, which actually a few people did, but I was like, there's no way. There's no way, because I'm so shy, and now that's what I'm getting ready to do. And so for a while there, I only offered text readings or email readings. Now I'm doing a lot more phone readings and a lot more Zoom readings because I need to get prepared for the TV show.
And then you're getting invited to do podcasts, which some are just audio, some are audio and video.
This one was audio and video,
So, that's what I mean. Like, I guess the point being here in this situation, and somebody might be listening here going, these two are just going off about blah, 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 but they're not telling me how to find my gift.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there.
Well, this is part of it.
Yeah.
Is that we didn't know this would spawn so much positive in our life, okay? We took something that maybe only half of us was good at, meaning like talking in front of a microphone and I don't want even to say good. I'll say just more familiar with being in front of one of these things.
Yes.
I'm a little bit more. But that's only because I play music. I didn't stand in front of people and talk to people by myself.
Yeah.
But I was never super shy. Like in school, I would talk in front of the class. That didn't bother me. I could see people that would tremble at the thought of speaking in front of a class that's looking at them. So we're all different. But my point here is that we took something and dusted. We tried it like lifting stones and looking underneath everything that what's there.
Right.
Until you find something that kind of sort of is intriguing or happens or fits. And that becomes a gift.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So I wasn't born with a microphone hanging around my neck, nor were you.
No. We
had to kind of stumble on this or be led to this.
Yeah.
By certain means.
Yes. I've always felt a draw to the entertainment industry. Always. And so, for a long time, I didn't do anything in acting, dancing, anything like that. But it was still always there. Like, why am I so drawn to Hollywood and musicians? Like, that's just always been something for me. And I think that's why, is because this is where I was always supposed to be. It's not exactly the area I thought I would be in, but I'm happy with it. And I, you have to start somewhere, is my point, is that it's scary, but taking that leap of faith and trusting that your gift is here for a reason and not shutting it off, because like, I know for you, a lot of people made you feel growing up like you couldn't do anything in these areas. Not because you weren't good, but because there's no money. Not that it was
a waste of time, but it was a waste of a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like are you giving that too much time?
Right. You should go to college.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I was doing in some way. I didn't go to a university, but I taught myself how to do things that I loved and to take my gift and grow with it, you know?
Yeah.
I look at Marina and I'm like, I just told you this last night, like, it blows my mind because she's both. Like, I don't have the level of intelligence that she does at all.
No.
But she's also very creative and very artistic. She got them both, you know. I'm not stupid. I'm just not. I didn't take algebra and chemistry and geometry and all. And I'm not saying that necessarily makes people smart. But if you can comprehend it and pass it, not just pass it, but get an A. Right. Yeah. Then you're smart.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As far as I'm concerned.
She's amazing, and I'm not just saying that because she's hers, but she, has so many gifts rolled into one person. It's just amazing.
But, you know, when we're talking about a gift, too, it doesn't have to be this ability per se. Because in the definition, there's also quality. Yeah. So what type of personality do you obtain? Right. I mean, do you have to obtain the things in life that you want? So somebody, like I gave your brother, he has a very charming personality.
He does.
That is a gift. They can get the right person to the right destination. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
It just depends on who they are and what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I guess my point of talking about him and bringing that up is because I was trying to find what is it that he can do for the rest of his life that will use his gift. What is his purpose?
He should be doing something like this, and you've said that before.
Oh,
because he's freaking hysterical.
He really is.
So he just needs somebody that knows the talk, like him. Yeah. And they can talk, talk
about video games all
day long. Yeah, but just like reviews and whatever. But he just has that type of personality. But I don't want listeners to think that we're telling you, oh, if you don't have this, and this, and this, and this, then you're crap out of luck, No, you have something in there, whether it's an interest. Like you may, like Samantha, love animals. Yeah. You may love airplanes. Yeah. You may love cars. You may dislike children completely. So that somehow is a gift that you will do something for single people. I don't know. There's always a positive in something. Yeah, right. There
absolutely.
Is. And I love children, so don't get me wrong.
I think you thought about that because we got these kids outside and they're so loud.
I love kids. I've always loved kids. These kids are loud, but yeah. And that was one of my gifts. I think as a child, I knew that very, very young that I wanted children. Yeah. So as I got older and there was younger kids in my neighborhood, I watched out for the little kids. I always connected with them. I've been the babysitter for a lot of my friends' kids when I was my previous marriage. Yeah. A lot of my friends had kids younger, and I waited. I was like, I'm not ready. I want to do my thing, but I still love them, and I like to be around them and watch them grow. Yeah. So I was involved in quite a few friends, kids' lives. Yeah. So, and I had no problem getting down and on the floor and, talking baby talk and playing games. I love it. I've always loved it, Yeah. So that was a gift for me. Yeah. It helped me in my life being a parent to my own child.
Absolutely. No, I agree. I'm the opposite.
That's okay. I mean, not everybody.
I love animals, yeah.
Not everybody's,
Right.
Trust me. There are people that really want to be parents. Yeah. That have no business being parents.
No, that's the truth. Yeah. And then there's people like me that just know. Okay. Like, I think I was an okay parent for Marina, but she came into my life when she was 8. I know I could have
been a good parent to Marina.
Well, I could have done a lot better, and I recognize that. But for a younger kid, like, there's a reason why you came into my life when you did, because a little kid I would have not done okay with.
When you don't have a biological connection, there is an understandable,
I just wasn't meant to have my own kids.
Lack of connection, I think. It's understandable. Yeah. It's not your blood, but I think even for everything, all things considered, it's been very well, and it's done miracles for Marina's life.
Oh, for sure, yeah. But I just knew, I'm not into the younger ones.
Right.
So
you weren't into the diapers and see, that's the thing I loved. I love, I love babies when they're all messy and
no drool, no. Yeah, can't handle it. Yeah, no, thank you. Well, here's some examples of gifts, okay? Because there's physical gifts. Mm-hmm. So those include artistic talent, athletic ability, physical strength, being a musician. Those are all physical gifts. Then there's mental gifts like intelligence, creativity, problem solving. Mm-hmm. And then there's spiritual gifts like intuition, empathy, compassion. Because I think, too, that when it comes down to like for some people, what is their gift? They like to work with kids or they like to work with elderly people. And one of the reasons that they like that is because they have the gift of empathy, maybe even a gift of patience. Because anybody that comes into this world with patience, to me, has a gift of it, because I think that's one of the hardest things to learn here for a lot of us is patience.
Yep.
But working with people, whether, it's kids or the elderly, that is a gift in itself. I truly believe you have that pull, that draw to do that.
Yeah, people that you see that work in hospice care.
Oh, yeah.
Or even, I would say like teachers that are dealing with like anywhere from kindergarten, like preschool to about third grade.
Yeah.
That's a lot to handle.
I think they're all a lot to handle, but yeah.
That age is tough because your attention span is not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Fully. So I was always intrigued with Jen Hemphill, like just her ability to keep those kids' attention was incredible.
Yeah. Oh, and that's her gift. I really believe that. And it's like for her, I feel like she could have a million kids running around her all loud and she would just stand there and it wouldn't bother her at all. And that's what I'm like with dogs. Like I could work in a doggy daycare and like the barking will not bother me at all. And that just tells you I'm really connected to this type of human or this type of creature, whatever it is. Right. And I think that absolutely goes back to our gift. I have a lot of people that, well, maybe not a lot, but there are people that have come to me, and I know that there are people that think that psychics should not charge for our services because this is a gift, a God-given gift, which is true, but so is being an artist. So is being a musician. Those are things that you are attracted to, that you love, that come naturally for you, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to work at them. Right. I still had to work at these abilities. It took me a long time to get comfortable with them. So because I worked so hard, that to me is a reason to charge. Also because I'm giving my time. Yeah. And this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's like most people get paid, even a salary is based on time.
Yes.
Yeah. But most people that don't get a salary are paid by the hour, folks.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, so that's a gaslighter to me, spinning, I don't want to pay for this because I don't have the money or I don't know how to prioritize my money.
Right.
So I don't want to pay for this, and that's flipping it around on you and then putting the guilt on you.
Right.
No, you are very much entitled to do that. You've got permission by the universe as far as I'm concerned because you wouldn't have the clientele that you have if that was the case.
I met this girl, and she lives in a part of the country where she can't really use her abilities all that much. She feels like she would really be judged.
And she's good.
She's really good.
Yeah.
But she's also a hairdresser. And so that is her full-time job, and she's amazing at that too. She does not charge for her services. I've tried to pay her. Like if you send money in Facebook Messenger, you have to accept it, and she would not accept it. She does not want to be paid for her services, but she's not using her gift as a career.
Right.
That's the difference between her and I. If you have a career and you just have these abilities and want to do it on the side and not charge for it, I, by all means, go for it. But this is my career. This is what the universe has set me up to do.
I think she has a little pressure maybe from outside influences, in this particular situation that would cause her to maybe not want to. But I think if she was supported more
Oh,
she
yeah.
would. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
she would.
She's
and she's
amazing.
really good. So
Yep. I wish that I could shout her name out there,
I know.
but I can't.
But no, she's a good one to have in your corner, even if it's private.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah. I asked our listeners, do you believe that everyone has a gift? And 76% said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Only 1% said no. And the rest said not sure.
Right.
I really do believe that everybody has a gift. I think we might look at it as it has to be something big,
Right.
but it doesn't. It doesn't have to be an artist, a musician, a psychic, an energy healer. It doesn't have to be anything necessarily like that. Your gift could just be that you're an empathetic person and that your purpose is to work with people or animals or whatever because that is your gift, is of empathy.
I don't know
As an
why
example.
we do, but we each choose something, at least one thing, maybe more than one thing. But I honestly think we come in this world kind of like an open book,
Yeah.
and that any of us could do any of these things.
Yes.
It's just which one we end up focusing on,
right.
or which two or three. Sometimes people have more than one, but and then the rest kind of falls by the wayside. So for me, I was much more interested in, at a young age, in being creative, drawing pictures, color, images,
Yeah.
to then getting older, and school was much more about social and creative.
Right.
I didn't give a crap about fundamentals.
I didn't either.
And stuff like that, right? And that's where I fell short. But if I would have stayed
think
up
so.
on it,
Yeah.
just like Marina,
Yeah.
which shows like her work ethic, but she was always, I had teachers of hers tell me at first grade and second grade, this kid knows, like, when she comes in and the bell rings, it's business time.
Oh, yeah.
And when the bell rings again and it's time to go, she understands, like, when to
Right.
get to work and when to have fun.
Right.
And never have to tell her, like, to pay attention and do her work when it's work time.
Right. And like you said, she has both sides of those things. She
She
has the intelligence and the creativity. But I truly believe that if they tailored school more to what the child's interests
I
were,
agree.
that the grades would be better. So
agree.
don't knock yourself for not doing good in school. That's not your focus. And I really truly believe that both of us have this like undiagnosed ADHD anyways.
Yeah, I probably
that,
have a little bit of
you
that.
know,
But I mean, I think my whole point is that I could have been an actor,
you could be anything.
right? I could
Yeah.
have been a dancer.
Yeah.
I just didn't try at those things.
That wasn't what you were interested
But
in.
it's so, anybody that's listening and having a struggle of finding what is my gift, it's whatever you choose it.
Yep.
But I'll guarantee you, it's not going to be handed to you for free without work,
Yeah.
right?
No.
You have to hone your abilities and your skills, which means practice.
Yes.
Practice, 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 practice,
Yes.
practice, practice. And a lot of falling over and failing,
Yeah.
and practice, 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 falling over, failing, practice, practice, practice. And it just goes on and on
Yeah.
until one day you look back and you realize, holy moly, I really learned a ton.
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near what I used to be like over there.
Yeah.
And my abilities have grown.
Yes.
Like, when did this happen? When did I
Right.
learn how to do this? Oh, all those scraping my knees and falling down and practice, 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 practice.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it is. And it's hard sometimes to really absorb that because we don't want to. We just want something to come to us easy. And that was me at the beginning of this. I was like, I just want it now. Just give it to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to work at this, but I have worked and worked and worked, and I'll continue to work and work and work.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that I'm going to get better and better at this, not just at my abilities, but talking in front of people, putting my face out there and having to deal with that.
Yeah.
The only way you get good at these things is practice.
It really is.
Yep.
Like, one thing that Marina didn't pick up on, which she tried, was music. Otherwise, she would
Yeah.
have, had a hat trick as far as I was concerned.
But she's an amazing dancer.
She's an amazing dancer. But she did say, I want you to teach me how to play guitar. Okay, so we bought her a guitar.
Yeah.
And I sat down, and the first thing I told her is, like, if there's anything in my life that I've tried to do and got really frustrated with, was learning how to play guitar at the beginning.
Right.
Because your hands don't want to do what your mind thinks they should do when they should do it.
Especially if you have little hands.
And you have little hands. So, but, we tried certain things like a lot of parents will go get a kid like an acoustic guitar. In my opinion, that's the worst thing to do because acoustic guitar has a tension on the strings, and the strings themselves are just harder to play. A cheap electric is much easier.
Yeah.
Because then the kid, it's not big and bulky.
Yeah.
It might weigh a little more, but it plays easier.
Yeah.
And it looks cool.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure. I think
So,
it's
but yeah, she would teach me how to play guitar as if like we're going to sit down in a weekend
Right.
or 4 hours and we're going to knock this out. She's going to be jamming with me. I was like, kiddo, your hands, it takes a lot of practice. Like, you know, not only to get your hands to do the shapes of the chords that you need to know,
Yeah.
but then you have to learn to switch those shapes from chord to chord.
Yeah.
And this takes time. But, you know, showing her scales, and scales are kind of boring.
Yeah.
So probably why I'm not like a super duper like solo guitar player, because I was like, I don't got time for this. I just want to write some chords and just kind of rock.
Yeah, totally.
You just jam out and rock. So I ended up being more of a riff type of player and more of like in the songwriting aspect and less of a soloist. But yeah, so it's again one of those things where I told her, you're gonna have to work at it.
Yeah.
You're
Absolutely.
just going to have to.
And it's not where her interest is, so she didn't.
No, and that's okay.
And that's definitely, I think, one way that you can figure out what your gift or gifts are. Because on my list, ways to identify your gift, that is one. Mm-hmm. If you are naturally drawn to something, especially as a child, like if there's just something like with me, animals, that you've always just loved and you know you've loved it and maybe don't even know why, I would definitely look into that as being a part of your gift.
And listen to people around you.
That's on my list too.
Okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we go maybe a little bit oblivious
Yes.
in life. We're wrapped up in our bills and responsibilities, and we don't know this right off the bat until we hear somebody say, you know what, you're really good at that.
Right.
You should consider something like this.
Yeah, I agree.
That could spark something for you. Again, it's turning a stone over that you may have not.
Right.
To discover something that could potentially work out for the better.
Yes, and that's how I found out about my abilities.
Exactly.
Was somebody else telling me, you know, I absolutely. And I still, to this point, I think that I'm a mediocre psychic at best. Like, there's people that blow me away.
Yeah.
But I have people that come to me every day that say, you're amazing,
Right.
you know? And so I just go with what they say. Right. Okay, if you guys think I'm amazing, then I must be. And I'm not going to, you know, doubt myself on these things.
It's easy to do it. It's normal. So don't
Yeah.
beat yourself up if you do.
Totally.
But don't let that side of you, you know, the ego,
Yep.
do that to you.
Yep.
You know, like a good example is we went out for a stroll 2 weeks ago or something, and we went to like a little outside like area craft show, and we were just walking around, but we walked right out from the parking structure. The first thing that Samantha spotted was this art gallery.
Yeah.
Like, but the guy sells all kinds of people's art, right? So he probably gets a commission. I'm sure he's probably an artist too. But so we go in there, and it was really cool. All right, it was some cool stuff, similar to mine.
Yes.
Just in the vein of music and stuff like that, but all kinds of different things,
Yes.
different mediums, glass to acrylics,
Somebody
to paints,
used records.
records, yeah. Really neat. So I was like, okay, this isn't by chance that. By accident, that this is the first place that we saw. Mm-hmm. So I walk in there and I approach the lady. So could I ask you, you know, introduce myself, and what would it take to, you know, get your stuff in here? And she's like, oh, you just talk to the owner, you know, he's over there, blah, blah, blah. But he left or something. She gave us this card.
Right.
But so we were just chattering and looking around, and so I showed her a picture of my most recent of the Taylor Hawkins. So this is kind of in the vein of what I do.
Yeah.
And her immediate reaction made me feel like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
like
she was excited.
It was vindicating for me.
Yeah.
That she was like, oh yeah, no problem.
Right.
I see this. I know where you're going with this. So I was like, cool. She's like, here's the card. Just call him and talk to him, you know. So I haven't done that yet, but that made me feel like, all right, there's a little vindication of where I'm at in my gift, and that I could walk into a place like that where I'm personally impressed by what I see hanging on the walls and around me, and that this now curator, whoever this person was, felt that I could fit right in.
Yes,
That felt good.
absolutely. And I think that it's important to look at how those things feel in a different way as well. And here's an example is that we have gone to a couple of art things and craft things. We went to something called First Friday.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. But everybody has these booths and stuff. And I asked you walking around there, does this feel like something that you want to do? Do you want to have something like this? And that doesn't feel right to you.
No.
But walking into that art gallery, that felt
That
right.
was right.
So
Yes.
that's how you know when something is meant for you and not meant for you. Because a lot of people might be, but come on, First Friday, you could do it. But you know what? It doesn't fit in there. That's not the
And
place
I had
for your
several
stuff.
people mention that to me before we even went down there.
Yeah. Yes.
And I immediately said, no.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it. I knew it. I was like,
Yeah.
nah, this isn't
Yep.
this isn't the avenue.
No, it's not. There's 1,000,001 art galleries in this town.
Yeah.
You know, if you can get some of your stuff in there on consignment, that's more of what I think you should be doing and that
Yeah.
I've always felt like you should be doing. And I think that we have to listen to our intuition when it says that. It says, no, I don't want to do this. That's not my area. This is my area.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So let's see. What did we touch on? How to identify your gift? What activities do you like? What do others tell you? Journaling, writing down like what you do throughout your day, what interests you. If you really can't figure it out, then going back and reading through your journal. Oh, I did this every day.
Right.
Like you were saying with my brother, video games, you know. What's important to you in your life? What did you love to do as a child? Those are some things to ask yourself when looking for your gift. I asked our listeners too, do you feel like you found your gift? And 23% said that they have. They feel like they have. And 35% said no. And 41% said, I don't know. So I want to challenge all of them that have said no or I don't know to go out this week and try and discover it a little bit. You know, just look at what comes up in your week, what's always coming up in your mind. I wish I could do this or that or whatever. And don't ever think that something is out of your reach, because it's not.
Right.
The only limitation that you have in this life is the limitation that you put on yourself.
Right.
That's it.
And sometimes when you hear a friend say something like I mentioned, like, you should consider doing that. Or,
Yeah.
have you tried this yet?
Yeah.
Don't always look at that as like sometimes I would do this in my life, like cynically, like, the fuck is this person thinking? Like, shut
Can't do
up.
that, seriously.
No, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not going to do that, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the universe's way, like speaking through other people.
Yes.
Like telling you, you should try that. Have you tried that?
Right.
You should try that.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's like a hint. It's a little push, and you might go, well, that came out of a mortal's mouth.
Yeah.
But we all come from the same place, you guys. So
Right.
there's a deeper thing going on here that I think we overlook, and we don't realize that there is guidance along the way. There's guidance to show you which one of these gifts could potentially bring you the most happiness,
Yeah.
the greater income. I don't know, it could go on and on, but
Yeah.
those are two good examples.
Yep. A couple of the people that said no on this, one of them was Shauna.
Huh.
And so I want to say to Shauna, you know what your gift is, girl. You know what it is.
She has a lot of gifts.
She does, but she has really opened the spiritual side
yes,
and these
yes.
abilities, and that's your gift. Whatever you use it for, whatever you do with it, that might not be the only one, but yeah. And then there's my friend Amy, who I met when I was doing LuLaRoe.
Shauna's good with her hands, just really fast before we jumped over there. I know that too. She was doing something like remodeling her bathroom and stuff. She's into
Was she?
things with her, I think.
Oh, I
Pretty
don't remember.
Anyways,
But
going,
animals are another one of her
that's
passions.
true
but,
too.
But for Amy, I met Amy when I was selling LuLaRoe, and she has this draw towards that type of work, towards clothes and like having a boutique. Now, what is that? What is that? What kind of gift is that? Is that the gift of wanting to help people, you know, to look good? What is it? Because there has to be somebody that does these types of things.
Yeah.
There are people that love fashion And that is an area
Mm-hmm.
of purpose, Absolutely. So I think for both of these ladies that said that they have not found their gift yet, I believe they have. They just don't realize that they have.
Right.
And there's others too, but those are the two that I know personally, so I can tell you that you do know what your gifts are.
Hopefully we here today have been able to shed some light on things that are gifts that you may not have even considered.
Yes.
Again, it doesn't have to be, an actor or an artist or a singer or a musician or
Yep.
a painter. It doesn't have to be those things. These are way deeper than you could really imagine.
Yep.
And can bring you a lot of positive things in your life. So
Absolutely. So
that's cool.
yeah.
Very good.
Yay.
Well, I hope everybody goes out there and finds their gift.
Yeah, and let us know. Let us know what this episode maybe, brought up for you, if it made you think that, you know what your gift is. Like, we love to hear these types of things so that we can share them with other listeners too.
I do feel grateful that I've known at a young age, at least
Yeah.
from my little age, that I at least liked to draw and I could do that. Music didn't come until I was like 12, 13.
Yeah.
That I showed an interest in some sort of ability there. But I didn't have to struggle with that. But I have people close to me that I wish I could help them find their thing,
Me too.
And I always try to be that kind of instrument and, hey, you should try that or check that out, or,
Yep.
and inspire them.
It is something that comes up in readings. If people have questions about it, it is absolutely something that I can dig into as well. What are you here for? Let's figure it out. So if you can't figure it out on your own, I am always here to help you.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, before we say goodbye to everybody, would you like to share your info one more time?
Yes, you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com or on Etsy at BeyondTheBridge11. And you, sir?
Yeah. DJonesArtCollection.com for the web, at DJonesArtCollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And for my photography, DJones71 Photography
Fabulous.
for Instagram. All right. Well, we hope everybody got something out of this.
That we do.
We hope that we inspired you to either go out and find your gift or to stick with your gift wherever you are in the process. And just follow it, man. Follow your heart.
Yep.
Follow your dreams.
Absolutely.
That's the goal here. And everybody have a great week.
Please.
And until next week.
Peace and love.